Hello, and welcome back to another chapter of Watch Out for the Lucky by Too Much Sunshine on AO3. Chapter 6. Grian was awakened by a knocking at his door. For the second time, he felt warm when waking, blinking slowly. This time, though, he knew where he was waking up. He groaned, curling up tighter while pulling the blankets around his shoulders. His wings felt sore, and he could still feel the dried tear tracks on his cheeks. He turned his head into his pillow, closing his eyes, hoping the world would go away. Sadly, the knocking didn't stop, though it did seem to get softer. Sighing softly, Grian prepared himself to face the day. Shifting his arms beneath himself, he pulled himself up to sit. Confusedly looking at where he was lying. A large mass arranged into a mid-sized circle on the floor. It had all the pillows and blankets from his bed, along with the cushions he recognized from the couch. It was so comfortable and made his brain happy, but it was immediately drowned out by the wave of embarrassment that washed over him. He made a nest in the room that he had only had for one day. He must have been a lot more out of it last night than he thought he was. He didn't remember passing out here, just the distressed feeling he felt. Ugh. He climbed out of the nest, determined that when he wasn't so tired, he'd take it down. That being said, he was still very tired, so he kept the blanket wrapped around his shoulders. What? It's cold in the morning. Looking at the clock on the bedside table, Grian saw it was a ripe 6:30 a.m. He hummed lowly, making his way through the closed bedroom door. He probably looked like shit, but to be honest, he wasn't 100% sure he wasn't going to get fired because of what he pulled yesterday. Carefully shoving the boxes of clothes off the side, he reached to the front door just as another knock sounded. Interrupting their knock, Grian opened the door to, yet again, Hawkeye standing outside his door. But this time he was in normal-looking clothes. Dark blue pajama pants with a loose-fitting fitted shirt with a mustache plastered on the front. It looked like something from an old major campaign. Still, though, his sunglasses stayed. He stared at Grian as if shocked he would answer the door. Hey. He started awkwardly. He shifted from foot to foot nervously, which Grian felt was odd coming from the overly boisterous hero. Look. I came here to say that Cub is really sorry for yesterday. He should have known better than to touch your back without you saying so. He moved some stuff around, but sadly all he could do was move the photo shoot for today to around 12 p.m. But after that, he cleared our schedule for a week to help you get settled. Again, very sorry, and... He paused to look over past Grian into his flat, seeming to look for certain words before looking back to Grian. I'm sorry too. I should have realized that all of this would be a little overwhelming. For that, I am sorry. I will help you get settled instead of showing you everything so quickly. I guess I forgot that this could be overwhelming for someone who isn't used to it, and just wanted you to be up to speed as me. He finished straightening back up. Grian stood shocked. Why were they apologizing? He had been the one who was too weak to accept the challenges he brought upon himself. And not only Cub, but the Hawkeye? He must still be asleep or something. Looking over Scar, he couldn't find a trace of lies, though. He was still shuffling slightly, as if waiting for rejection. Something about the way he was looking at Green felt real, like he was actually sorry for what he had purposefully put Green through yesterday. Well, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I appreciate the apology. I guess I was just very overwhelmed, and Cub touching my wings just sent me over. It won't happen again. Green nodded. Seriously, best to forgive and forget here. No need for any animosity. Scar seemed to agree as he smiled, nodding his head. Perfect! Well, he bent down by the door, pulling up a garment bag in his signature colors. I thought because we still have to do that photo shoot, I'd help you get ready. That way you'll know what they're looking for, so you won't be surprised. He smiled at Green as if was no doubt he would agree. And honestly, with a bright smile like that, he was right. Shrugging his shoulder, Green opened the rest of his door, allowing Scar into his flat. He was still a bit upset about yesterday, but he'd rather be ready for this photo shoot than guessing every move. Scar walked into his flat like he owns the place, setting his bag over the back of the couch. Green just closed the door behind him, still lagging behind from walking up. He finally turned to face Scar, pulling his blanket further around himself. G? He heard Scar ask. Yeah? Green blinked his eyes open. When had he closed them? He must be much more tired than he thought if he was falling asleep standing up, and also in front of what was essentially a stranger. Did they not give you couch cushions? He asked with what sounded like genuine concern. Suddenly, Green was a lot more awake. He felt his face heat up to a nice tomato red as he sputtered through an answer. Yeah, they did. I just wanted them somewhere else. He finished lamely, looking at his feet. Ho ho! Bird stuff. I got you. Anyways, help me dig through this frankly too big box of clothes for something that'll match my outfits perfectly. But not too perfect, or else you'll outshine me, and we can't have that. Scar continued talking and digging through one of the larger boxes Cub had sent in the night before. Was that it? Just bird stuff? Or that's it? No, like, being upset at ruining the couch, or inconveniencing everyone? This Scar guy keeps getting weirder and weirder. Each and every time Green has some weird bird-related ism, Scar completely let it slide with no comment. Not even the typical scoff from him usually got when his wings got in the way. Shaking his head and clicking his tongue, Green decided not to think about it any further. Scar is Scar, and so far he's found out that it's its own can of worms. Walking over to the bare-looking couch, he tossed the blanket over the back, shivering slightly. He pulled the closest box to himself and started to shuffle through it. He wasn't quite sure what he needed to be looking for, but he was sure Scar would find something before he would. The box he found looked to be mostly more casual clothes, light-feeling shirts and nice-looking workout pants. Most of them were some variations of pinks, reds, blues, and oranges. To be honest, it was more clothes than he could ever remember owning. Too much is what it is. There was no way he could be wearing most of these. The bottom of the box, he was greeted by a pair of fluffy pajama pants that he assumed Cub forgot to take out. It was like nothing else in the box, just plain black with one pink streak down the right leg, and an orange one down the left. Rubbing the fabric between his fingers, he had a feeling he would be wearing these every night for the foreseeable future. Feeling the air shift around him, he looked up from the pajamas to see Scar sitting next to him on the floor, smiling. He had a few stalks of various colors of clothes in his lap. Like those, do you? Cub tends to try and make one truly comfortable outfit, as long as you promise not to leave your room in them. I think I have a pair that looks very similar to those. Standing up, Scar made to set each outfit in his kitchen counter before turning around pointing to Green. Now the fun begins. He clapped. Green tilted his head to the side, confused as he still sat cross-legged on the floor. Clothes around him as he didn't fold any of them when he dug through the box. Fashion show! Ha! I don't think so, Green replied. Just tell me what to wear and I'll wear it. You know what's going on here. I don't. And he was very set on making the hero pick his photo shoot outfit until the man started pouting. At first it wasn't working. Green just scoffed, rolling his eyes. But then Scar just frowned in a way that looked even sadder. Squinting his eyes at Scar in challenge, he waited. One of them was going to crack first. But who? As the thought crossed Green's mind, he realized he had lost when Scar's eyes seemed to start to fill with whatever. He realized he had lost when Scar's eyes seemed to start to fill with tears. He felt compelled just to go along with whatever the hero wanted. Fine, you win. He threw his arms, shaking his head. Just don't cry. I don't know how to deal with that. Oh, don't worry. I'm just going to actually try. I just taught myself how to do it on command. He laughed in a way that felt a little too maniacal. Whatever, just give me the outfits, tell me which one's best. Green stood off the ground, trying to hide a smile from Scar. Best not let the man know that he was being funny. His ego was big enough. The two spent the next hour and some looking for a good outfit to complement Scar's, or, well, Hawkeye's. Scar had obviously picked some combinations just to make them laugh, such as the pink cute guy crop top paired with the armored up black pants. While it was certainly a look, it was definitely one not to be worn outside. Scar was particularly taken when Green added a pair of platform heels from a box of shoes Cub had sent along. After they recovered from trying to create the worst outfit possible, they landed on the perfect look. At least perfect according to Scar. It was a cropped pink and red hoodie, sporting the Hawkeye logo over his heart. The sleeves were a bit long, so they poofed out along his wrist with white cuffs. His stomach was covered by a pair of high-waisted joggers. The string belt was tied off with a heart-shaped bow above his navel. Scar pointed to the slightly heeled pink and white combat boots resting to the side of the shoebox. He had also handed him a pair of heart-shaped sunglasses that tinted the world in a rose hue. After they had agreed on the outfit, Scar locked himself in Green's bathroom to get himself ready. Somehow, he took longer to get ready in one outfit than when Green was trying on the others. Okay, maybe that was a bit of an exaggeration, but he was taking a while. Leaning against the wall outside the bathroom, Green started picking at his nails, sighing loudly. And when that didn't work, he sighed even louder. I can hear you, you know, Scar shouted. Yeah, that's kind of the point. I still need to do my makeup, small guy. I am not! Scar cut himself off as he flew through the door, glaring at Green, who looked like the picture of innocence. Pursing his lips, Scar seemingly decided to let it go. He released his grip of the handle, huffing while walking back into the bathroom to look in the mirror. You don't need to do any of that. The hair and makeup, that is. They'll do it for you. he said, while fixing his hair. He was wearing his typical, mostly black Hawkeye hero outfit. Raising his eyebrows at the obvious irony, Green made his way into the bathroom next to Scar. He placed the smaller box that Cub had sent to his room the night before on the counter, pulling out the brand new cosmetics. Most of the products were better than the ones he had. Luckily, they mostly matched his skin tone. I'd rather do it myself. What look are we going for? He looked up to Scar, who was busy looking at all the things he had just pulled out with wide eyes. Sighing, he looked back in the box, pulling out the paper that was the list of approved looks. You know how to use all of these? He picked up a tube of concealer, rolling it in his hands. You don't? That was curious. He would have assumed that most heroes at least knew the basics of cover-up makeup, or a no-makeup look. But Scar looked completely lost, bouncing from jar to jar, seeing what it was for. Nope. They usually just slap some stuff on my face, and I just sit still. Or as still as I can. I asked before, but they just told me not to worry about it. He placed some mascara back onto the counter. I got the feeling they didn't want me to mess up the vision. Vision? Green asked while washing his face lazily. Normally he wouldn't bother with the whole 9 yards of makeup routine, but he was getting professional photos taken. You should probably put effort in. Yeah, the whole Hawkeye look. I have to maintain the idea of the superhero or else people will get upset. It's probably smart they don't let me do my own makeup, because I would probably do a lot more colors. He opened up a palette of eyeshadow, gently rubbing his finger over the bright orange color, holding it close to his face to inspect its color. I've always wanted to, but can't really practice and get feedback if I can't wear it outside, He wiped his finger on his palm, inspecting the color further. That didn't sound very fun to Green. They wouldn't let Scar do something as simple as makeup because it didn't align with the idea of the superhero persona. That sounds dumb and really controlling. The fact that he couldn't even wear it out of his room is ridiculous. Well, if they don't mind me doing my own, then they probably wouldn't mind me doing yours too, if you want me to. Putting down the palette with a shocked gasp, Scar lit up like a Christmas tree at the offer. Really? Will you explain what you're doing? I want to try and learn too. Again, there was no chance of Green saying no to a look like that. Scar looking at Green like he offered him a present made him feel nostalgic for some reason. Maybe he reminds him of his sister a little bit? No, that doesn't sound quite right. His sister was never as much into makeup as he was. Maybe it was just too long since he hung out with people like this. It feels nice. Looking up to Scar, Green realized that he was probably going to have to sit somewhere for him to comfortably reach his face. Walking out of the bathroom, he pulled one of the chairs from the bar for Scar to sit on while he did his own makeup first. He placed it in front of the mirror so Scar could watch him do his own face. Being as practiced as he was, it didn't take too long. Cub's papers had mentioned a more modern look, but with fun add-ons such as draw on stars under his eyes or hearts as freckles. It wasn't a look he typically went for, but it was fun to do. It gave him quite a few ideas on what to do with Scar. He narrated the whole time what he was doing and what products he was using. Scar rarely asked questions, mostly just watched quietly as Green applied it all, completely enthralled. When he finished his face, he turned to Scar, asking what he thought. That's perfect! I'm sure Cub will love it. I love it. You did so good. You must have a really straight hand to get that detail. Scar praised with raised eyebrows. Well, thank you. Now it's your turn. Take your glasses off and close your eyes. Somehow, looking back into the box, Green shifted a few things around, hoping to find a bit darker shade of foundation. Somehow, as if Cub predicted this scenario, from the box Green produced the item he was looking for. Turning back to Scar, he saw the man hadn't really changed at all. His glasses were still firmly on his face, sitting on the chair, fidgeting slightly. He started, leaning back, twiddling his thumbs over each other. The glasses are part of the, vision. So, even if I did take them off for you to do the makeup, nobody would see them. So, what if you did just something like around them? He got progressively more nervous the more he spoke. Now, Green wouldn't necessarily call himself the most socially adept person, but this was a pretty clear boundary. Scar wanted to keep the glasses on for some reason, and who knows? And who was he to push for something from someone he barely knows? Truthfully, he didn't need to know, so he didn't ask. Sure, I'm sure I can do something. Scar's shoulders dropped immediately, releasing a breath, nodding his head slightly. After rethinking his approach, Green decided to forego the concealer and foundation. It would take away from his scars, and that wouldn't be fair anyways. He was starting to get the idea of what the vision for Hawkeye was, and he didn't particularly care for it. Taking a larger brush, he started applying a pinkish blush over Scar's cheek, including the nose. It called to Green's look, where he used red to make him look almost cartoon-like. Then he took a blue pencil and drew a star right below his right eye, matching Green's pink one. On the other side, he drew a pink heart, again matching his blue one. Taking a step back, he nodded satisfied. Leaning back in, he added a few much smaller stars and hearts around his cheeks, making them look almost like freckles. Before he decided that's all he needed to do. Scar swiveled around as soon as Green called he was done looking in the mirror. He gasped softly, leaning closer to the mirror, just sort of climbing onto the counter. Green barked a laugh as Scar practically vibrated with happiness. They never make it look like this. It's always boring. He turned to catch Green's eye, and while he could really see Scar's eyes, he could tell they were wrinkled with his wide smile. Thanks, pesky bird. Ah, no problem, small guy. We should probably get back to that photo shoot before they send people after us, huh? Green laughed as Scar turned back to look over himself in the mirror again. He started putting some of the makeup away back into the box. Yeah, we probably should, Scar sighed, finally exiting the bathroom with Green in tow. You should grab your bow and quiver. They might have one for you, but you never know with these things. Scar pulled his own bow over his head from where he had it rested against the couch. He cinched his quiver around his thigh, standing to wait for Green. Walking back to his room, Green grabs both his bow and quiver, throwing them both around his head to rest between his wings. He didn't completely clasp the quiver over his chest, though, not being sure whether or not they're going to even let him wear it. He didn't want to go through all the trouble. Together, they left Green's room and headed to the elevator. Glancing over to Scar, Green sensed his energy drop. After leaving his room, Scar seemed more resigned. That isn't to say he stopped smiling, though. If anything, he did that more. His posture improved, his smile became wider. He put on a pep to his step as he walked down the empty hall. Inside the elevator, he rocked on his heels, resting his arms behind his back. Green felt weird about what he just witnessed. He truly just saw the transformation from Scar to Hawkeye. He supposed now he was supposed to act the same, go from green to cute guy. Then again, he wasn't quite sure who cute guy was yet. So far, it just felt like himself, but more fake. Maybe that's how Scar felt too. Scar led them to a floor Green had never been to. It was a pretty empty floor, or at least he assumed it was, when a photo shoot wasn't going on. At the moment, it was full of busybodies setting up light and cameras in different areas, each with different backdrops and props. People walked back and forth, talking with each other. Green peered up to Scar, watching as he took a deep breath before walking further into the room. Following him closely, he led them straight to Cub, luckily somehow finding him among the crowd. He was talking with a few photographers, but upon seeing Hawkeye, who flashed them a bright smile, they quickly fled with red cheeks. Ah, perfect. Hawkeye and our new star, Cute Guy. Come talk to me for a second. He motioned for the two of them to step further into the corner of the room. Following, he spoke to them in a hushed voice. Hey, Green, I just wanted to apologize in person for what happened yesterday. I had no right to touch you without permission, and truly, I should have known better. I've cleaned the schedule for the rest of the week for you both. After this shoot, I'll edit the pictures and we can debut you guys sometime next week. Again, very sorry, and it won't happen again. He spoke looking at Green in the eyes. No clipboard in his face, or a blaze attitude. He seemed genuinely sorry for his actions. It's been a long time since anyone has apologized to Green for touching his wings. But, hey, as long as he wasn't in trouble for what happened, then all is forgiven. And he just has to hope and believe it really won't happen again. It's okay. Please, just let me know if you plan on touching my wings. Just freaks me out a bit is all. Water under the bridge, man. He laughed nervously. His wings were pulled closer to his back, jostling his quiver a bit. Cub looked over to Hawkeye with what looked like confusion, but quickly snapped back to Green. He nodded his head, smiling softly. Yeah, water under the bridge. Now let's get this over with, yeah? I noticed that you already did hair and makeup. I like the look of Green, perfect for what we are going for, and Scar. He paused, looking between the Hawkeye and Green. In turn, the two gazed nervously at each other as well. After a second or two, too long, Cub continued. While I wasn't planning on changing up the Hawkeye look, I like this a lot. It makes you two look more cohesive as a pairing. Good job. Probably time we change up the Hawkeye merch anyways. Cub led them over to the largest white backdrop up against the leftmost wall. He instructed them that this was going to be the first of many duo photos. They were supposed to look relaxed, like they actually liked each other, which Green supposed was becoming much easier the more time he spent with Hawkeye. That being said, he felt very uncomfortable with the amount of people just staring at them. They were all there for the photo shoot to help with light and camera and costumes, but it just made Green feel awkward. Here he was on his second day being treated like a celebrity, getting pictures taken as if the paparazzi had caught him in Hawkeye. He tried to look relaxed and carefree, but his uncomfortability must have shown somehow, as Scar suddenly looked away from the cameras and down to Green. He tried to smile up to him, but it fell short as Hawkeye just shook his head, turning his back to the camera, much to the camera woman's dismay. Hey, you're too tense, he spoke quietly, as the others didn't hear. He dropped his shoulders a little, as well when talking to Green. Ah, so Scar must be talking a little bit instead of Hawkeye. It's not as hard as they make it seem. Just act like you're out on a patrol, looking for bad guys or something. Smile a few times like you saw a catwalk patrolling. Always works for me. Scar smiled, putting a hand on Green's shoulder. I'm just not used to this much attention is all. Green breathed. I get that. Let's just try and have some fun with it. Yeah? I said I was going to try and help you, and gosh darn it, I will. Watch this. Scar spun around on the heel, flashing the camera a wide, brilliant smile with brandished finger guns. A flash radiated through the room as the woman behind the camera took an opportunistic photo. It made Green smile. How very Scar to try and get him to smile by being goofy. Well, it certainly worked, as the camera flashed a few more times as Green's smile grew wider watching the ridiculous poses that Scar threw at the camera. Crossing his arms over his chest, Green just watched Scar keep going more and more, shaking his head and rolling his eyes. Finally, after a few more photos like that, Cub called for a new scene. They were now individuals, because both Hot Guy's new look and Cute Guy's overall debut. Hot Guy went first, pulling multiple poses that would surely get the fanatics to swoon, flashing the camera with brilliant smiles and almost pulling his shades down to tease a look at his eyes. It didn't take long for it to be Cute Guy's turn in front of the camera. Alright, from you I'm going to need a full range of individuals because you are new, the woman said, to which Cub shook his head. First, just look into the camera and smile. He did as he was told, smiling when told to smile, pulling out his bow and aiming when told to aim, and interestingly enough, when they told him to look broody, he tried his best to look broody. For that particular pose, he looked past the camera and shot Scar an unimpressed sneer, which the camera lady loved. Scar just laughed, calling him a natural. After that, it was just a few more cycles of duos and individuals whenever a Cub seemed to want more of a certain pose. All in all, it took around 3 hours for all the promo photos to be finished. Both Green and Scar were feeling it, getting tired and hungry. Sharing a look with Scar, Green groaned, throwing himself on the ground over dramatically. Scar laughed, looking over to Cub, who was bent over a camera with the photographer, checking the last photos they had taken. Sighing, Scar turned his head to the side slightly, staring intentionally at Cub. Then, without taking his eyes away, dropped onto the ground next to Green. This time, it was his turn to laugh as Scar groaned just as loud. Fortunately, Cub seemed to hear this one. Scoffing, he made his way over, kicking Scar lightly in the boot. All right, you two. The photos came out good. You can take off. As promised, I won't contact you for the next week. Do whatever you want. But be ready when the week is up. I'm sure the higher-ups will have a mission or two for when you get back. Cub went straight back to the cameraman, looking through the photos taken. Guess even though they had the week off, Cub didn't. Well, not his business. Green jumped off the floor, grabbing Scar to help him up, making a beeline for the door. He made it to the elevator in record time as Scar laughed at his urgency. Don't laugh at me! We have to run back before he changes his mind! He laughed back. Scar just laughed harder, as the elevator finally closed, raising them up to the living quarters floor. Shoving at each other lightly as they left the elevator, they walked down the hall to their respective rooms. They both stopped outside their doors, gazing at each other from across the hall, still giggling. Enjoy your week off, pesky bird. Maybe we can hang out again sometime within the week. We can invite the others and have a nice night. Scar said, pulling his bow off his back and untying his quiver from his thigh. Maybe. You know where to find me if you want to. Just let me know. He leaned against his door while talking to Scar, taking a similar approach and removing his quiver and bow. Scar smiled at him kindly. You did good today. By the way, those pictures are gonna look awesome. I doubt any of mine will be great, but thanks anyways. You really helped me back there. I really appreciated it. Of course they will look good. I was in them too. Oh, how humble of you. Humble is my middle name. No, it's not. You would know. Whatever. I'm gonna take all this off. Let me know if you need any makeup wipes. Nope. I'm all good. All I need is to get out of these annoying clothes. I'll see you again later. Okay, Green? Yep. See you later. And with that, they went into their opposite rooms with the same goal of getting out of their uncomfortable clothes. Green shut his door with a smile on his face. A whole week to himself, pulling his shirt over his head as he walked into his room. He walked straight into the bathroom, dropping it into the laundry basket. He turned on the shower, waiting for it to heat up. He smiled wider. A whole week to himself. Now, with complete ID cards and scannable passes to any place in the Hero Tower, his tour wasn't very thorough the first time. Now he supposed he could go anywhere he wanted to all by himself. Look through any floor, or computer, or locked room. He could find any information he wanted now that he had this much free time. And being new had the benefit that if he got caught, he could blame it on being lost. Perfect plan! A perfect plan that he will put into action tomorrow. He was very tired right now, and a nice shower and nap sounded very pleasant, thank you very much. He hopped into the shower, feeling the hot water run down his shoulder, letting out a sigh of relief. This next week was going to make the past few days worth it. He just knew it. He just wanted a small rest first, then he will find his family and everything will be fine again. He was just so close, and everything finally felt like it was falling into place. Knowing him, it won't last long, but he will enjoy it while he can. And that is the end of Chapter 6.